Okay, I think we're streaming this. All right. First of all, I'm with my dad. There we go. You see your picture there? All right, we're going to ask him some questions about electronics. He's really good at electronics and desalination, and he's in World War II, and he's my dad. He's a combat veteran, wounded, still tough as an ox. How come you're so tough? I'll get an answer from that later. First, the 41st Cavalry? All right. All right, well, hold on. We'll ask him. I have to do a tiny bit of business first. Okay, so we had some feedback from, I would say, about as professional kayaker as are ever going to see the Backpack Barge Expedition. Thank you very much, Cruz. Oh, cripes. Oh, he was leaving today. I needed to give him a boat. Cruz, I will mail it to you. Just not a boat, a sled. Let me know and I'll get one to you. That's with our upcoming product. Okay, but this is about Backpack Barge. So the feedback we had is that the boat for higher end, somewhat more extreme uses probably could have benefited from some additional torsion connection between the inner and outer hull at the midpoint. So right now the inner and outer hull are connected at the ends. They are not connected at the midpoint. We didn't feel that it would be necessary because the hydraulic pressure at the midpoint in a somewhat slow-moving water in a lake always had an inward acting force. But now that the backpack barge is being expanded for rivers, there's sufficient water flow through the hulls that it's expanding the outer hull outward. You little tap on your back there, bud?
I want to lay down so sleep.
Okay, well, hold on. We'll ask you a question. Let me just finish this update thing. He's been sleeping all day. You've been sleeping all day.
I've not been sleeping. You keep me awake.
What's your favorite drink?
Apple juice.
Apple juice. What about Coca-Cola?
That's good drink.
That's good drink too. All right, I'm gonna hurry. I promise I'll get through it this quick. Okay, long story short, he's absolutely right. I'm spending way too much time on this. The hydraulic pressure, at least in a river, for river kayaking, was separating the hulls a little bit. So we had to engineer an additional solution that attached. We came up with very elegant, and it weighs 3.6 grams. So your boats will be heavier, but only by 3.6 grams, which is about the weight of 4 paper clips. Okay, so we're good. We have all we did is when you slide in your gunnel stiffeners, you go through an additional ring that then holds the outer hull onto the inner hull. Very simple. It took us a long time to figure out that simple solution, but it works. It only adds 3.6 grams to your boat, and we have the first batch of inner hulls on the table. Those are currently in production, so we're coming along. I wanted to take some photographs of some boats that were ready to ship, some specialized colors to see who wanted them, but I haven't gotten to that yet. Apologies, I've been taking care of my dad. He's coming to live in my house for a while. Right, Dad?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to have him here. He's an inventor too. Taught his sonny boy how to be an inventor, right, Dad?
I want to lay down and go to sleep.
Oh, okay, all right. It's okay. All right, we're going to ask you a couple of questions. He wants to lay down and go to sleep. Okay. So we had a question, okay? We had a question. Wait, let me see if there's any new questions. All right. We had a question, Dad, okay? When Morse code was transmitted to you in your armored car, approximately how many words a minute did you have to decode?
10 words a minute.
10 words a minute. Okay. So when the 10 words a minute, was that encoded in Morse code, or was there an additional cryptographic code on top of that?
There were always instructions.
Were the instructions kind of like a code?
Yes.
It was a coded instruction?
Yes.
Okay. So for instance, what is...
I want to go to sleep.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said you wanted to talk on the video.
I already said it.
Okay.
Yes, enough.
Okay. All right. Well, can I ask you one more question about Morse code?
No.
All right. How about a question about spark plugs?
I won't answer that.
All right. How about a question about the very first transistor?
That one?
You one time told me when you were at Sonotone that you remember seeing one of the very, very first commercial production transistors ever made?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, when you were at Sonotone, do you remember when you worked at Sonotone?
Yes.
You one time told me about the very first time that you saw a transistor.
Yes.
Okay, can you tell me any memories of that, seeing your very first transistor?
It was electronic.
Uh-huh. So before that, you used vacuum tubes?
Yes.
So in your opinion, what was the quality of the sound? Did the quality of the sound improve or did it get worse when you went from tubes to transistors?
The quality was lost temporarily.
The quality was lost. So it was lost from going from the vacuum tubes to the transistors?
Initially.
Okay, so what did they do to improve the quality again?
It took a lot of study.
Okay. So it was a lot of study, but what did they do to improve the sound quality from those original transistors?
It took a lot of research.
Okay.
No more questions.
All right. I remember.
No more questions.
Okay. Well, I was just going to say, here was the story when we went back. He one time told me that there was a considerable effort in the hearing aid community to decrease the loss of these transistors, and that in decreasing the loss, that improved the sound that was coming into the patient's ears. And I remember when I was a kid, he had an acoustic test chamber. Do you remember that one?
No, I don't.
You remember you made it out of wood?
I don't remember.
And he had made a really good acoustic test chamber. I tried to give it away on Craigslist for the longest time because I didn't have anywhere to keep it. And a couple people were interested in it, and eventually, I don't know what happened to it. If anybody knows what happened to the acoustic test chamber, please let me know. He gets a little cranky, but we're good. we're trying to stay up for a little bit so that he can have a good night's sleep. He had his dinner, and it's all good. So he was one time mentioning that one of the major areas of U.S. research in transistors was in not just in making them smaller, but in improving the efficiency that and I say the noise that was probably introduced into it. Do you remember when we hooked up the oscilloscope to your acoustic test chamber and we were measuring the noise on different electrical components?
I remember some. I want to go to sleep.
Okay, all right. Well,
No more questions.
All right, no more questions.
No more questions.
All right, no more questions. All right.
I'm not asking any more questions.
All right. Using back scratcher. All right, no more questions. Well, I had a good time talking to you, Dad. Thank you very much.
Okay.
It was a lot of fun for me.
Okay.
I always love talking about the history of electronics because I find it really interesting. It's important. The new generation only knows computers. They forget at one point that there were really no digital circuits. All circuits were analog, weren't they?
That's right.
Yeah. So it's important to remember that history, because if we don't remember that history, we won't have a good grasp on what that history was about. Because we remember the history of things like, wars and Napoleon, and we remember the history of things like tapestries and the history of wood carvings. But it's just as important to remember about the history of electronics. These circuits didn't just drop down from outer space.
Questions.
Okay, all right, sorry. I love the topic. I could talk to him. Okay, all right. We're gonna lay down and go to sleep. All right, Dad. So we're signing off, and thank you again for your patience. I'm glad our solution was only 3.6 grams. And let me know any other questions. I have some questions that I have yet to address in the from the backers. And if you've sent a question I haven't gotten back to you, it's because if I haven't gotten back to you, it's because I've just been, as you can see, a little busy taking care of my old man. But it's all good, and you will hear from me soon. And again, as soon as I can get back to the office, I'm going to send out some pictures of some boats that are ready to ship with some different color configurations. See if any of you guys want one of the ones that we already have ready to go. Okay, thanks very much. Bye, everybody. End stream.